Hello again, fellow fish-a-lots, and welcome to another edition of Fishing with Johnny Fish-a-Lot. In this episode, I want to share with you the absolute best way to spool your fishing reel. So stay tuned, and let's get into it. Stick around to the end of the video because I'll summarize to you exactly the amount of line that should go onto your reel at exactly each point in this process. Well, all right, fish-a-lots, this is basically all the equipment you need for what is, in my opinion, the best possible way to spool your fishing reels. So, of course, you're going to need your fishing reel. You're going to need your main line. So, in this case, it's going to be a J-braid, 10-pound test line. You're going to need your monofilament backing. This is super old line. You could look at that. That's just some beat up line. It doesn't matter. This literally is just serving as backing for the braid. You're going to need your vice grips. You're going to need a screwdriver. And of course, just a cardboard box. And that is it, fellow fish-a-lots. This is going to be the first step to getting our 10-pound J-braid onto our spool. And this is going to be our main line for this Daiwa Fuego. And so what I want to do first is I want to create a backing for the braid. And what I'm going to use for that is 12-pound monofilament. We're just going to wrap the mono around the spool of the reel, just like that. That's your first step to the Arbor Knot. Nothing fancy. It's literally, let's move that out of the way so you can see, it's literally just the mono and the tag end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just take the mono, and there's my double line right there. And I'm just going to form a loop, just like that. I'm going to take this tag end, I'm going to feed it through the loop, just like that. So this is your first step of the Arbor Knot, is just creating that loop right there. Tighten that down. There you go, and that's it. So that's your first knot right there. Okay, now you have the tag line, the other side of the tag line right here. And what you want to do is just make a simple overhand knot. Just like that. Nothing to it. And the really nice thing about an Arbor Knot, by the way, so there's your second overhand knot right there. And the great thing about the Arbor Knot is you could actually do this off the reel. So my loop is off the reel. I don't have to be on the reel the whole time that I'm doing it. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the first loop that we created, put it back on the reel, and I'm going to pull tight. Just like that. And so you can see that first knot is actually going to cinch down to the reel. And the second overhand knot that we made is actually going to end up pushing against our first knot and tightening it down. So just like that. There it goes, tightening it down. And you can put as much or as little pressure on this as you want. And there you go. It's tight right to the reel. Just like that. So now we have the knot is tight to the reel. Can't move it. I have to see that. I got to put a little bit of pressure on that to get it to move, and that's great. That's exactly what you want. All right, we're going to click that down. There you go. Your reel's ready to go here. Let's see if I could show you. And there you go. And it just starts spooling. It just starts spooling the line, just like that. And that's it. So now let's head over to the cardboard box, and I'll show you exactly how to spool this. Well, all right, fish-a-lots, your next step, of course, is your cardboard box. So basically, you just get a box big enough to hold your monofilament or your spool, whatever you're spooling your reel with. And you can see here, there's plenty of room in here for this thing to spin around. And the reason for that is you want this to spin naturally when you stick it on your screwdriver. So here's a screwdriver, and all you're going to do is puncture a hole into the cardboard box. Just like that. And there it is. Your screwdriver punctured. Lay this down. I'm going to take my spool. Now the important thing to notice here when you do this is you want the line to turn off the spool naturally. So just like that. You don't want it underneath where it's got to pull it out or come off like this uneven, because you could get knots that way. So let's get our screwdriver back into place. It's like that. The line goes on just like that. And now the key part here is to create the tension. And that's where your vice grip pliers come into play. You're going to take your pliers and you're going to pin it against the spool just like that. And you're going to tighten it down. Okay? And that is going to serve as your pressure for when you reel in your line to spool your reel. just like that. All right, guys, now we're all set up. So here's our screwdriver. Our spool is connected to the screwdriver and secured with the vice grips. And this right here is going to create the tension we need to make sure that the spool goes on our reel perfectly fine. Now, you can see the tip of my rod there, right there. You can see the pressure on it. See that bend in the rod? That's perfect. That's exactly what we want, because that pressure caused by us cinching the spool onto the cardboard box with our vice grips is going to allow that monofilament to go onto our reel perfectly smoothly. And here we go. So we're gonna, there you go. So you can see the bend in the rod right there as I spool it up. I don't have to grab the line. I don't have to do anything. All I'm doing is just turning the rod handle nice and easy. And let me show you. That line is perfectly even, perfectly smooth, and it's all because of the tension caused by the vice grips and the spool right there. Well, all right, Fish-A-Lots, part 2 of spooling our reels is complete. You could tell that the backing went on super smooth. And so another tip I like to do is I actually like to keep the spool or the line from the tip of the spool right here at about 1/4 inch. And that will allow me to basically put 150 yards of braid on top of the spool. So basically you could take a 300-yard braided spool that you buy from the store, and you could use half of it for one reel and half of it for another reel. All right, so let's see how I did with the line itself. There you go. I don't know if you could see it, but I'm looking at that first tick right there. That's 1/4, and that's really good. So that's about it. Again, it's tough to see, but that's 1/4 inch. Now comes the point where we're going to attach our main line to the monofilament backing that we just put in. And again, this is going to be 10-pound J-braid. However, this does not show up all that good on camera due to the very low diameter. So instead of just using the J-braid to show you, I'm going to show you using different lines. So this is going to be 50-pound monofilament. As you can tell, you can see that a little bit better. And this is going to be spider wire, 50-pound 50-pound braided line. I'm sorry, I couldn't get my words out. 50-pound test braided line, high vis yellow. So this will show up a little bit better for you guys. And for this, I'm going to tie a double uni knot. Any knot will work right here. An FG knot would work really good. I'm just going to use a double uni just for the sake of this video. And the way you do that, of course, is you cross over your two lines, just like that. So the braid tag end is here. The mono tag end is over here. And that's it. And then you're going to make your loop with your braid. I'll start with the braid end first. Just like that. So you just make a loop, very similar to how we did with the Arbor Knot. And for this is your tag end. For this, I'm going to use 10 wraps here. So it's important to know that as you do this with the braid, you want double the amount of wraps as the monofilament side. And the reason for that is again, the diameter of the braid is very, very small. And so it could slip through the monofilament side of this uni knot if you don't do it right. So we will do 10 on this side. I kind of lost count just because I'm talking, but I don't know, close enough to 10. And that's what it'll look like. And now that the trick is to grab all 4 lines. Okay, so you use every bit of your hand and your fingers. You grab all 4 lines and you pull it tight, just like that. And that cinches down really nice into the knot. All right, now we move over to the mono side. So here's your monofilament, your tag end. This is your main braid, or your main line, which is your braid. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna make a loop. Okay, just like that. Nothing to it. And I did 10 on the other side with the braid, so I'll do 5 on this side with the mono. Again, you don't need as many wraps as you do with the braid. The diameter of the braid is much thinner. Now, another thing is you want all the wraps to go in the same direction. You don't want to overlap. And that's important for the dressing of the knot. So there you go. There's 5. And same thing. You want to grab the line with, you want to grab all 4 ends of the line with your fingers and your hand. And you're going to pull that tight as well. Just like that. There you go. So now that's tight. This is tight. And now what we want to do is you're going to grab your main line in your main line of your backing and your main line of your braid. And you're actually going to pull the two knots together. Just like that. And now when these knots meet, they'll cinch up nice and tight, just like that. And now you have your double uni knot, and your braid is securely fashioned to your monofilament backing. So now all that's left to do is just clean it up. Well, all right, guys, that's your completed knot, and now you're ready to complete the rest of the steps and get the braided line onto your spinning reel. We are ready to complete spooling up our fishing reel. So as you can tell by the bend in the rod, we got quite a bit of pressure on our 10-pound J braid connected on a screwdriver to our cardboard box. So now as we start to reel, there you go, look at that bend in the rod. That's exactly how it's supposed to look coming off of the spool right there. Well, all right, fish-a-lots, and there is your final product, a beautifully spooled fishing reel. And you can tell how even this braid went on the reel, and that's really because we had that pressure on with the vice grips on the cardboard box. And it's really nice because you don't have to hold the braid, you don't have to get cut by the braid, you don't have to remove the wax coating from the braid. I mean, let me know in the comments below if you ever tried to use your hand and your hand was green or orange or whatever color your line was after you're done spooling your rod. And so, you know, that's it right there. I mean, it's not much. It doesn't cost much. It's just a cardboard box and a pair of pliers, and you're good to go. Well, all right, fish-a-lots, welcome to the end of the video. And as promised, I'll go with you step by step the amount of line that I like to put on my rods to maximize the life cycle of my line. So as I explained earlier in the video, I like to use 1/4 of an inch between my monofilament backing and the end of my reel itself. Now the advantage here as well to that 1/4 inch between the mono and the reel is that when I spool 150 yards of braid, I then get 1/16 inch between the braid and the end of the reel. There is a couple of advantages to this. One is I'm absolutely going to maximize my casting distance of this spool. The other great advantage is that it maximizes my life cycle of the line itself. So as you fish and you get nicks in your line, you're going to end up having to cut it away. You're going to get down to your spool. So even if I'm cutting away some of this line and then I get down to 1/8 inch, that's still good. Like I could still use that spool on that line to cast a good distance, and I'm still using the same spool. I don't need to respool. I'm saving money, which is perfect. So guys, I hope this information was useful for you. I enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. And please don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell. This way you don't miss content like this each and every time I post it. Have a great one out there, guys. I'll see you out on the water.